Capitol from the hijacked plane that was headed for Washington. 44 Americans. And yesterday, 44 Americans in the United States Senate voted to prevent you from hearing a single word that was said in the Senate trial today. The question tonight is, did any one of those 44 Republican senators decide today to stop protecting Donald Trump and start protecting the Constitution? Leading off our discussion tonight is Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Whitehouse, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. I want to begin with the video we saw of Senator Mitt Romney, Republican senator, literally running for his life. And yes, that is the first video in history of a senator running for his life in the Capitol. And Mitt Romney, we've seen what happens to him at an airport by Trump supporters who just go after him at an airport. What would have happened to him is probably would have been another one of the deaths in this story. Does video like that, did you detect that video like that has any impact on those 44 on the other side of the aisle who voted yesterday to not allow the Senate to see any of this?
Yeah, I think it can't help but have an impact. The House managers did such a good job of presenting this case, taking the broad sweep of this from the earliest days of Trump, starting this scheme to claim that the election was going to be rigged, all the way up through the violence at the end, making it so real, marshaling the exhibits so effectively. And of course, for those of us who work here, those are our hallways. We know where that picture is taken from. We are oriented in all of the clips that we've seen, and we recognize Mitt Romney, at the run there, and we recognize our colleagues going down the stairs there. So it was very, very real, and it could not fail to have had an impact.
I've been wondering today, what, if anything, in your prosecutorial experience has prepared you for the evidence you're consuming in this trial? You were a U.S. attorney in Rhode Island, Attorney General of Rhode Island. You prosecuted mob guys in Providence. And I'm just wondering, with all the experience you've had, what goes through your mind and what filters you use in taking in this evidence?
Well, I can't help but look at the skill and professional craft of the managers presenting their case. They really have been first rate. It's been just an exceptional set of presentations. But what I can't help thinking is that this is the moment in the trial where the defendant sends his lawyer over, or the defense counsel comes over and says, we got to plead this out. Give my guy something. Just get us out of here, because we're getting killed. And in an ordinary case with an ordinary real jury, that's probably exactly where we would be. But this is a political event, and the Republicans have political goals and impulses here, and they're not a real jury. And so the sort of devastating day that they had, that Trump had, kind of doesn't matter. And that's an eerie feeling, because I've spent a lot of time watching trials and participating in trials, and, knowing when that moment has come, when the other side's going to throw in the towel and sue for peace. But that's just not going to happen in this case, because the jury is not going to decide this on the merits.
It seems that Donald Trump was educating his crowds about who was on their side and who wasn't. Ted Cruz was out there, especially in the Senate campaign in Georgia, in front of those kinds of crowds, being very clearly on Donald Trump's side and trying to reverse these votes. Do you have the feeling that there are some Republican members of the Senate, highly recognizable, like Senator Cruz, possibly Senator Hawley, who gave them, the big fist sign earlier in the day on January 6th, who are sitting there in the Senate, never having felt threatened by this crowd at all, at any moment, because they knew that crowd knew that they were on their side?
Well, what I think of with them is we're still looking at what their role was in all of this. We've made the referral to the Ethics Commission, Ethics Committee. The Ethics Committee is going to have its look. But when you look at the evidence today about the president's call to Senator Tuberville, asking him to delay the proceedings, to add objections, to spread it out, you can see that it's like a pincer move. On the one hand, you're getting your mob up to the Capitol to do this damage and to disrupt the counting of the electoral votes. But at the same time, you've got to open the window of time during which those electoral votes are counted in order to allow the mob to have its effect, to actually do the damage, to perhaps catch someone, but at a minimum, to be able to disrupt. If this thing had gone smoothly and orderly and without objection, we might have been done by the time the mob had breached the Capitol. So there's a possibility of there having been some connivance between those who tried to create the delay and that being used to open a window long enough that the mob could fight its way in and disrupt the count. So all of that remains to be seen. But it struck me that when the president called Senator Tuberville for that specific purpose, that could easily have been a similar call to another colleague.
Such an important point. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, thank you for bringing that sharp prosecutorial eye to this evidence tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Senator. And coming up, former acting U.S. Solicitor General Neil Katyal will join us with his analysis